Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, it's going, man.
Cool.
I'm happy to be here. It's a really nice setup you have.
Yeah, I'm just borrowing this setup.
I like that theme song too.
Thanks.
Really
That's kind of what I've been rolling with is I got this like little blip. It's called a blip blocks, BLIP space BLOX blip blocks.
There's no space in sign language.
There's like, I think I've seen like for throwing away words or like after a word, I've seen somebody do like blip and then they throw it or they indicate like it's gone.
Oh, okay.
And then blocks.
That makes sense.
That was this guy who dates this hard of hearing woman, and so he didn't. They're like boyfriend, girlfriend, or sweethearts, but he's learning sign language. So it was after doing it for like a year, and then I meet this guy who's like basically doesn't know sign language, but he knows finger spelling, which is the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he would communicate with his girlfriend.
That had to take forever.
Well, yeah, he's like doing like you're like I think I get the point, but he's doing like a 10-word sentence or something.
That's real romance right there. If she has that kind of patience to read through all of that, and for him to work through it all at the same time.
Yeah. Anyways, I got this thing called a blip blocks, and I started recording on my computer through a digital audio workspace or whatever that's called. And I was like, I'm going to do a different intro and outro for every single guest. And so that's kind of what I've been doing.
Nice.
And
that's a cool idea.
So, yeah, you essentially get 2 unique tracks. And that's mostly what I base this podcast on is like I plan out the beginning and end and then nothing in between.
That's basically like how I do stand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that approach.
Yeah, I did some stand up last night in Seattle. There's an outdoor show that there's some inconsistent open mics that happen on Monday or Tuesdays. But this one was kind of outdoor because it's like in this shed with plexiglass, but a lot of open window spaces.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a tent and now it's a shed. So it's kind of got this,
it's evolving.
It's got like I was like, next it's going to be in the brick and mortar inside of the restaurant, but it's got this 3 Little Pigs vibe to it because it's a shack and not whatever the first.
How's the turnout for that? Is it just comics for the most part?
It's hit or miss. Now there was quite an audience last night. I mean, by that I mean since it's a mixed open mic, the musicians were watching.
Oh, cool.
And then there was like a couple that there's people that like are walking home from the grocery store and they're like, oh, and there was one couple in the back corner that really liked my set. And the cool part of it was like before me there was like this 3-piece Latin band with like one of those tall drums and then a guitarist who was singing and then a stand-up bassist.
Nice. That's cool.
And I was like, ooh. It wasn't quite my vibe. I like it as background music, so I like walked close to the sidewalk or like away from I liked hearing it like whatever, but I got to follow it and it worked out okay. Or it felt the most like a comedy set that I've had, like a successful set in a while, to the point where like after the set I just felt like kind of successful, like I did my craft well.
Mm-hmm.
And I succeeded, but I was like, oh, but life goes on. I gotta be humble and quiet and like watch the next person. And the next person was like this ukuleleist who had a beautiful voice, and
not good on the ukulele.
Huh?
Were they good on the ukulele?
Yeah. They were good on the uke, and then they had like a loud voice, but it could also be quiet and dynamic, I guess
Cool.
is the word.
So is that your first set in a while?
No, I go out like maybe once a week, but if I'm busy, I'll skip. Or if there's too much drama, because there's still drama even in the outdoor open mic scene with all basically the outcasts of the Seattle comedy scene, because a lot of people, in communities people have differences, and
Some things never change.
yeah, there's still people who want to produce their own mic and have like a microphone and a independent power source,
Mm-hmm.
and
Because I'm completely out of the loop these days. I don't know what mics are going on anymore.
yeah, there's outdoor mic either Monday or Tuesday on Capitol Hill, and then there's at 2 different locations, and then there's Steve Baz's or Steve Baz, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He started like a month ago doing ones in Ravenna at the Flying Boot Tavern.
Okay, cool.
But that one, it's indoors and you have to wear a mask when you perform. I mean, that's always recommended, even if you're outdoors. But Steve, and then they have one at Laughs, but I think it's called an audition now, and you have to pay $5 to perform, and it's on Thursdays. But I didn't go there that often outside of the pandemic, so I'm not as likely to show up.
Right.
And there's there's people who like that room, and it treats them well. So
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy that room. I've always had a good time there for the most part. But it also makes sense for them to charge right now, I guess, during these times. I guess I shouldn't roll my eyes at it too much.
I think just being called Laughs and having it be a comedy club is perfect advertising for the thirsty, public that wants to go and laugh.
Yeah, just those people with cabin fever who just need something.
Yeah, and then Tacoma has their room, which I've only been there twice anyways to watch shows, but that's also like there's a set of people who go there, and I think also Bremerton has a few shows. I know Birunji just did a 20-minute set in some Bremerton.
Yeah, I was on that show with him.
Oh, okay.
On Friday. Yeah, it was good to see him.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
Yeah, I've never performed over there. I haven't taken a ferry to do comedy.
Oh, really?
It's funny because, I mean, that's not the appropriate phrase, but I've never performed in Bellingham, but I've only performed in Tacoma at Bob's Java Jive. And I guess there was another place that was like a pho restaurant that had an open mic.
I remember that. I didn't go there, but I was trying to.
And then I did go to Shaka Bra, but I didn't do comedy. I DJ'd a comedy show.
So, like, were you DJing, like, in between people's sets?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, the intro, outro music. I feel like that adds so much to the show. There was this young comedian years ago that we did a show at the Cafe Racer, and it was like a sit-down talk show kind of thing, and you could dress in character if you wanted, but I DJ'd that, and we only did like 3 or 4 of them. And then, of course, I've been to I flew down to Los Angeles to rent turntables to do some intro outros for like one show, and that was like this whole ordeal. But it was a good experience. It was interesting.
That's really cool though, because especially like if you're doing like an open mic thing, like in between music, it just keeps the energy going.
Yeah, that's what people say. Some people came up and were like, "You don't know how much I appreciated that," and I don't know who else understood like that the energy was just nice.
I hope that catches on, because that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are like, "I don't know why Robbie doesn't produce a mic or a show," like, and I'm like, well, yeah, you know what it takes. I mean, it's a consistency, and I guess if it's 2 people, it's easier than just one, but you have to really love gatekeeping. No.
There are plenty of people who do.
You have to be patient, and you have to really just love comedy and entertainment, and I I think like Blake Kiltoff's a great example of somebody he's been doing it for like 15 years, and he's just like, Tony V's, come on up or whatever. And
yeah, he puts on good shows. Like he runs a show in Snohomish. That's a lot of fun.
I do know the room in Fremont, the CSZ Comedy Sports room that Cameron Mazuka and it was Monica Nevi, Mike Coletta, and then when they were out of town, they had Cameron Mazuka run it.
Was that for the secret show?
Yeah, the midnight show that happened once a month on Fridays. They would have not live music, but they'd have like a music track and that was like the only place in Seattle that I remember having music.
Yeah, it should be a commonplace thing, you know. It shouldn't be that.
Yeah, but it's just a little bit complicated. It's also, I think, something that lacks in comedy shows is like somebody who's a little more audio savvy, and they know that, okay, this comedian is loud and this one's soft.
That's true.
And I've heard that even in like the Hollywood Improv in LA. They have a sound engineer on every show, like just watching, you know. I heard a story about Ron Funch performing in the main room.
Ron Funches?
Yeah, Ron Funches at the comedy, the Hollywood Improv.
Yeah.
And Ron really likes to hold the mic like at his chest or even lower. And apparently the sound guy was like trying to raise it up because Ron likes whispering, you know. And he has that cadence and rhythm or whatever.
Yeah.
And he kept pulling it down. And
yeah, that takes a very specific person to be able to do that for all those comedians.
Yeah.
But I mean, you'd be perfect for that because you know so many of us.
Yeah, and I've been into recording sound and music for a while, so.
But that's something I've always respected about you, though. Is like, you know, like a bunch of us comics, like we're so desperate for comedy, but I don't get that sense of desperation from you because you got so many other stuff going on that like you're spinning so many plates. Like you don't put all your eggs in one basket with a stand-up. You spread yourself out.
Right. Yeah. And well, I mean, comedy usually takes a long time, or you have to have like a really good story to your life, you know. And I mean, half of it is the passion and the grind, and then the other half is being funny and likable and nice, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
But I mean, I've always loved your comedy. Obviously, you know that.
Yeah, we're buddies. I mean, yeah, there was that one time we went on a road trip together at least once. I think it was just once.
It was twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, the first time, I think, we
Talking by Oregon?
Yeah, the time when we called in a bar that had karaoke capabilities, and we were like, do you want to do a show and give us food? And they were like, sure. And then you were like kind of tired with your 50 jokes that you tell, and you gave me the list and I remixed the list, and I was like, felt like I was playing DJ but for 1 to 3 liners, you know. That
was really dope, and I still have that set list, by the way.
Oh, nice.
You know, and you really made it really well. Like I was impressed with I was not only impressed with the order of it, but I was also impressed you paid that much attention to my jokes to know what they were to put them in.
Yeah.
But I think about that show a lot, actually, because it was just like such a last minute thing, but it ended up to be like really perfect at the same time.
Right. I didn't even go to the second part of the after party, but they had one of those like military veteran bars that are like speakeasies that they invited you guys to.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't go to that, but
yeah, that was fun. That was a really good night, man. And it's funny because I actually talked to Ian O'Mara, I think about a week ago. He called me. You know, we caught up for a couple
International.
hours.
He's in Germany.
Yeah, it's funny because when he first texted me, it was just like this weird phone number, and I thought it was like a scammer or something.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too involved with it, and so he wanted to call me up. But yeah, we were talking about that show.
I remember, I forget the exact lineup, or if they ignored Ian and then I was up next or something. No, I think he was after me, and they started paying attention to him because he is ex-military.
Right. That's kind of what caught the attention from people, I think.
I think maybe McBride went up first, or was it Mike?
No, I think Mike went on first. He really took the grenade, man. He did not have a good time on stage.
And I was starting to get their attention, and that night was when I developed this like rambly bit that I was just like, this isn't my first time up here, but it's not going to be my last. And I just kept saying that line over like 7 times.
Yeah, so I think so. It was Mike, I think it was you, and then Ian, and then me and Jason closed it out.
Okay.
I think so. My memory's dog shit, but I don't know. I just remember because like it was such a last minute thing, and the shows we had done prior to that, like they were fun, but they did not have nearly the turnout as that one did.
Right.
For such a last minute deal.
It was like this small. Was it Oregon?
It was Baker City, Oregon.
So it was such a small town, and once we showed up to the venue, like 3.5 hours early, everybody that was friends with the bar or worked at the bar was like, we're gonna text everybody.
Yeah.
It was like this network of texting,
like legitimate word to mouth. Like there wasn't like promotions or flyers or anything. It was like, hey, something's happening here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Come out, get drunk, smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, it felt so old school.
Yeah.
And they were really into it. Like they took care of us, and but I was also thinking, I thought you were gonna bring up the time when we went to Oregon at a dispensary and did a show.
Oh, that was the second road trip. And
that
was we had Joe Kelly with us.
Yeah, that was a big crew.
That was the second time we ran into Brody Kelly too, he was my last guest on this.
Oh, nice.
We zoomed in. He's in
Texas.
Dripping Springs, which doesn't sound like a real place.
No, it sounds gross.
Yeah. But
yeah, I remember because I think about that show a lot too, because like everyone was outside smoking.
Oh yeah.
And then you were on stage.
Right. I basically started the show before it started. The lights were on. And then once it like officially started, I felt like I just instantly started bombing. Like,
yeah,
what am I supposed to? I was having fun, but now you're making this a show. Like I'm just goofing around before the
I honestly thought it was weird that it started off that way, because to me, like, it didn't seem like you were starting off the show. It was just like you were messing around.
And then they were like, "Oh, Robbie's starting the show," and then I'm like, "No, I'm not."
No, because like what happened was like, yeah, you were on stage, and I think I was like the only one in the room. And you're just like making me laugh my ass off.
I was playing to you, yeah.
Yeah, you're just playing to me, just doing the stupid,
I was doing
silly
like
shit.
A crab
the
thing.
cum crab.
Yeah.
Cum crab. Cum crab.
Something about pinching my nipples.
Yeah, I don't know why it was so funny. But I was laughing my ass off, and it brought everyone else in here thinking the show had already started. But I'm like, no, we're just being dumb.
And we had a bunch of we kind of had this really small merch table. And I had brought too many magnets that didn't have to do with comedy, because I had a magnet maker, or I still have it. But and Joe Kelly was up there, and he was like, "There's all this stuff on this table, and nobody knows what it's, why it's here."
Yeah, that was a good time though.
Yeah, I have both of those. No, I only have one. I have one of those trips, video documented.
Oh, that's cool.
On my YouTube.
And that's something I've always preached about you too. It's like, because you're so absurd on stage. So like, even if like the actual audience doesn't get you, you still play very well to the comedians who are watching you. Like you play to the back of the room really well. And those are like my favorite moments of watching you, because you really do have like this freedom and don't give a shit attitude when you're on stage, it seems like.
Yeah, which doesn't really translate to real life, because people assumed that I'd be fine with like filming a sketch in a grocery store, and I'm like, no, I want permission. I need I can't just, I don't know.
But like stand up is like that platform where it's like,
right,
is that you have permission to not give a shit basically.
Right, it's a performance space.
Yeah, that's what it's there for. But yeah, I totally get like the barrier of like the public space, and you need permission. I don't want to upset anybody.
I watched a James Adomian performance at a festival, and he was like climbing this like little square of scaffolding in this indoor theater, and on like a wireless mic or something, and he was like climbing up, and he was like, "I bombed twice earlier today. I deserve this." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's pretty amazing." Or no, maybe it's not. Sorry, it was not James Adomian. I think it was Rory Scovel.
That sounds like something Rory would do.
I don't know why I had those people mixed up. So.
I think of those two together because I listen to the Todd Glass's podcast, and they're both amazing guests on it. Like they're top 2-3 favorites.
I saw James Adomian got booked at the Can when that was. I don't know if that's still around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got booked. Albert Kirshner was a co-producer in Comedy, Mystery, and Mutants. I think that was the thing. Anyways,
that's crazy to think of him playing at a venue that small. Cause
I sold him some magnets. He was like, "My family would love these." I actually before that I met him at beard practice at Emmett's old mic at CC Addles.
Mm-hmm.
He came into town and did a thing like right when I was starting comedy.
That's really cool.
A while ago.
Yeah. When I was in LA for a show, I was at this shitty bar show. I had a lot of fun still. Like it was a good time. But at the end of the show, David Koechner walks in, and he did like 10-15 minutes or whatever, and he crushed it. So afterwards, everyone's like around him, because he's David Koechner, and I walk up to him and I give him a magnet. And I'm like, "Hey man, I think you're great. I love your work, and here's something. Hope you appreciate it." And I walked away just thinking that's gonna look really good in his garbage can because that's exactly where it's going. But I just remember it took a lot for me to do that.
Yeah, putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the philosophy of being alive. It's like doing things you're scared of.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, not too scared. I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. But
no, I totally get that because I don't know. I've been thinking it's like you don't really grow that much when you're comfortable. When you're always comfortable, like there's no real growth there.
I mean, and sometimes that's like you're comfortable for 7 months and then you take a vacation and you're in a completely uncomfortable place. I mean, vacations are usually like supposed to be cushy, kind of.
Yeah.
But still, you're like in a different environment. You're like the learning part of your brain is all turned on.
Because I had always felt that way when I was at the Comedy Store.
Oh yeah, that place seems very uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable,
yeah.
And especially for me because like I'm not that outgoing of a person with people that I don't know, and there it's just the environment. It's just all about it.
Did you go to all the potlucks on Mondays?
I did, and I never got up on potluck.
Really?
Well, I got up in their belly room for like an audition for their.
Oh, for getting passed.
No, not for getting passed, just for their other open mic, I think.
Oh.
If you won this open mic, you were automatically into like the main room open mic the following week.
And did you watch the documentary that came out?
I haven't yet, but I hear it's pretty good.
It's good. It really goes. I mean, it talks about like Johnny Carson on the second episode a lot, but it just talked about the culture and just a good 30 years of chunk of history or more. Yeah, most of the history I get from the Comedy Store, I just get from like Mark Maron's podcast and whatever stories he has to tell. But the vibe of that place is just completely unsettling for me. Oh, it's like so dark. Yeah, it was cool. And part of the documentary, whoever's showing everybody like Mitzi's office and that they're coming down the stairs and there's this part they look at this poster that's up there, and the guy that they were touring with or whatever that was in the Comedy Store was like 70 or in his 60s, or he was like, "Oh, I always wanted that," and the guy was like pulls it down and gives it to him. He's like, "You can have it now." Oh, really? Yeah, I was like, "Whoa." He's like, "Yeah, Mitzi's gone, so you can do whatever." That's like, really cool. Things don't have to be permanent or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've only been there a couple times, and I used to go there every week, and try my best to hang out because so much of it's just to hang out. Right. I never understood that when I was down there for the first time. I was with, a few people, and they were all drinking at the bar, and I'm like outside, and I was like, there's no real appeal. Nobody's really hanging out. But I did meet somebody that like I followed on Twitter, and it is easy to make connections because everybody is it's so network oriented down there.
Yeah, that's why I'm so uncomfortable with it. Because like that's what everyone's doing there. It seems like, and I just never been that person.
Yeah,
and that's why it's like going back to being comfortable. Like whenever I was like really uncomfortable there, I was just telling myself, whenever I'm uncomfortable, that's where I need to be, just to try to keep myself going.
That's fighting an internal demon, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like if you're not going to get to that comfortability level, or if you might need, I don't know, I've never had a manager or an agent, but it seems like that would be helpful. But that still doesn't really help you network. It's like they're networking for you.
Yeah, exactly. Which honestly, I would love to have that buffer, because I feel like that's what holds me back a lot in comedy in general. It's just my lack of, going out of my way to get to know people and make connections. Because I'm shy. I just like to be funny on stage and do my thing and leave. But
yeah,
that's not how it works if you want to go anywhere.
Yeah. I have a hard time just dipping out, but I know a lot of people, or some people are like that they're just like, I want to get back to my normal life, after being the funny person.
Exactly. I want to decompress from this environment, and like I'll make the effort to hang out after I'm done with my set or whatever for like a half hour or so. But it's definitely an effort I have to make, and I always I feel envious of some of our friends who it's just effortless for them to just kind of do that. And
to network, or
just to be network and talk to people and be friendly and outgoing, because I just don't have that in me.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is like how they were raised, or I guess it's like nature, nurture, and then
totally
where you went to school, and
yeah, the odds were definitely
the social norms, and also like where you grew up. Like if you're in Seattle, you're more like kind of the distance mindset. I don't know. But if you're like very gregarious, and you're from like, I don't know where gregarious people are hang
like
out.
the East Coast, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
But I've been trying to work on that, because I noticed that's a handicap. But not lately, obviously, because there hasn't been any opportunity to.
Yeah, I think just generally being nice and optimistic and kind of like outgoing, but not crossing your boundaries, not being like, not saying yes too quickly, like just thinking about it. But I've also heard recently, like, saying yes is important, saying yes. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's also philosophies that are like, less yeses, more nos.
I've heard that as well. Like, it's important to learn when to say no and what to say no to,
and then who to listen to for the advice.
Totally. Because like I've always had a hard time turning down any opportunity.
Oh,
did you hear that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something on the computer.
But because I don't know, I just love performing, so I'll do it for free. Which is what gets me in trouble, because after a while of doing it, when you should be getting paid,
right?
It's hard to speak up for yourself after a while.
So people were getting you booked in for free, and you were saying yes to shows, and then eventually it was eating like your personal time where you should be taking care of yourself or something.
Exactly, because
you're like, I can't do this unless you give me at least like $50, and then I can, buy myself
some gas and
something
just to justify it. Because it's just because there's a line between like doing what I love, because I'll do it for free, obviously, because I love doing it and I'll take the opportunity, but at the same time just sticking up for yourself and kind of knowing when someone's making money off of you to speak up and be like, some of that is kind of due to me.
Yeah.
So that was something I was kind of struggling with before shit hit the fan. But I see. There are definitely worse problems to have. At least I was still getting booked, And
mm-hmm.
It was just definitely like a self-esteem thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
representing yourself. It's hard.
That's what makes me most anxious about the whole comedy thing in general is just representing myself properly, you know, and getting to know people, because that's why I think social media was a huge crutch for me with that regard. Because like I'll just like meet some comics real quick, we'll add each other on Facebook and stay connected, and then they can kind of get to know me through that platform and still be somewhat relevant because they see me on their feed or whatever and know that I'm still working and being funny.
Right. It's hard to have a good platform to share your shows or your performances.
Yeah. But I'm definitely looking forward to getting back on stage again, you know, more frequently. Because, yeah, I've just been spending the whole year just kind of like reminiscing about things and looking at some patterns I need to work on, and you know, like everybody else has.
Yeah, sure, but they're specific to you.
Yeah.
Are there any like certain festivals or shows you want to like or like benchmarks you want to hit as a comedian? I don't know, in the next 3-4 years.
I mean, I've always been trying to like focus on getting more club work. You know, I've always just wanted to get in more with clubs, and because like whenever I do shows there, like it's always booked through like a comedian who's putting on a show there. I've never been booked by a club specifically, but like whenever I've done those shows, they've gone really well. Like the audience response was good, so that's why I wonder like why don't I get booked at this club more often? Then I've proven myself. Why am I not getting this work?
I guess you gotta do the thing and reach out.
Exactly.
Reach out and be like, hey, I really love performing here.
Yeah.
And
you know,
here's my 5-minute video.
Yeah. I mean, and plus you already saw it. You know, I've proven myself, but yeah, it goes back to going on my way to kind of like.
And then also maybe being like, what do y'all think of me, or should I not, or find a way to be like, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
You know, like trying to beg you to. I don't want to beg you to book me, but I'd love to work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, because I also noticed too that like I feel very sensitive when I just did a set, and I'm very in my head and stuff. So that makes it even more difficult for me to talk to people when I'm feeling that way, especially like when
it's hard. Yeah, between or before or after doing a set.
Yeah, and that's when you're always there. So, and especially like when you got like adrenaline pumping and it kind of fuels the anxiety you already had in the first place. Like it's a weird thing.
You know, maybe an easier thing to do would be like walk up and be like, hey, I don't have time, or I don't know how honest you need to be with them, but be like, hey, can I contact you another time and we could talk about future work?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to be doing in the future, because because it's like I love doing like alternative shows, for lack of a better word. Like I love
house shows,
bar shows, whatever it is. Like I love
backyard.
doing those rooms. You know, like more of the DIY shows, you know, but I just know like to move up the ladder you kind of got to go through the clubs, and that's where they pay you the most as well. So
well, yeah, unless you can like brand yourself and like get you and your friends to produce like some cool 20-minute outdoor special, you know, or something. Like it's all about production value and then marketing it, and
it's very true.
And then also just doing it, and then you have the experience and you're like, I've done something like
something to point at and show people.
Yeah, something to point at that you're basically proud of, or proud that you went through the experience.
Yeah, that's because like I didn't realize when I first started doing stand-up, like you really have to be like your own promoter and your own manager and your own booker and all these different things, and I'm not good with most of that stuff. You know?
Yeah, but at least you worked security, and you had like your security family to be like, oh man, Levi's funny. Granted, I don't know how many of them like came out.
A lot of them did. I kind of got lucked out with that, you know, because
that was a good bolster.
It really was, especially like early on too. Like even when I first started working there, they didn't really know me, but they knew I was a comedian, so they're already supportive of that, just because most of them were musicians. So musicians tend to, you know, admire comedians and vice versa.
Well, it's performance, yeah. You know what I heard dancing being compared to comedy recently, and I don't know the exact like comparison. Like I'm not really involved with the dance community in Seattle or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
but I'm thinking more like expressive dance or hip hop or whatever. But maybe it's like, I don't know what point I'm trying to bring up. I was just like, not only musicians, but also, you guess what else happens?
Just any sort of live performance, anybody
Yeah.
on stage. But yeah, I definitely lucked out in that industry and just having that supportive people behind me
Yeah.
early on. But because I also owned up to the fact early on too, like a few years in, I realized I'm kind of taking the slow road when it comes to getting where I want to go, just because, like we were saying before, I'm not that outgoing person who's like working all the different angles. I'm just trying to work on my stand-up itself and my writing, just get better at that.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I've already accepted the fact that I'm taking like the slower route to where I want to be. But like I hit my 7 years like last week, so I've been doing it for 7 years, and that makes me think like, okay, well,
Right. Well, they say 10 years is, I mean, I feel like a robot saying what everybody else says, but you start, like, it really sets in, like, your path, I feel like it's fixed in 10 years in.
Yeah, I hear that too, and it's for a reason, because I think it's true, so, I'm a very patient person, I'm just, because like I'd rather do things that feels genuine to me and organic than go out of my way to get ahead in a way that feels disingenuous.
Right.
Like I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
But that's what's great, because like, especially like nowadays too, like if you want to be a comedian and like get noticed and get exposure, you can't just do stand-up, it seems like, anymore. You need to have like a podcast or like a sketch show on the side,
or you need to be on podcasts,
Thank you, Robbie.
Yeah, and I haven't even researched. I mean, now I'm upping my game and like mixing my wave files that I'm recording into the basically what I'm saying is I haven't uploaded to podcast networks. I'm just using YouTube, so it's like a talk show on YouTube right now.
That's still cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on YouTube all the time. I spent most of my quarantine on YouTube.
Right, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna separate my branding from just me, and I made like my own Instagram for this digital Robbie thing, and then I made a YouTube, and then I just put the highlights on both, but I put the highlights on Instagram, and then the YouTube link in the Instagram bio.
Oh, that makes sense.
But it's just, I don't listen to podcasts really. Actually, if I do, I'll listen on like YouTube, because Mark Maron's been posting old ones up on there.
Yeah, I've been listening to those too.
And so I guess I just use the sites I consume, basically.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever asked you this, but is there like an ultimate kind of career point you want to reach? Is there like a goal you're going towards?
I think I'd like to be in like a thriller movie or something. I think I want to be a comedian who gets booked into drama or something.
Yeah, I've always loved watching comedians do that.
Like Robin Williams or
Adam
Jim
Sandler.
Carrey or Adam Sandler or I don't know. If I could think of a woman that is a comedian that got booked in something. I mean, not booked. Yeah, booked in a movie.
I've always loved watching those transitions. But so do you want to get into a thriller movie through your comedy? Or just however it happens, it happens?
I think I'd be happy just getting booked in a movie that was in maybe Sundance or bigger. I mean, I don't really want to be in like a really popular like Michael Bay blockbuster or something, but
yeah,
it'd be cool to be part of a movie making thing. Which, I mean, like the smart way to do it is just you write the movie. Maybe you're also in it.
Yeah.
And then you direct it and edit it. Like it's so, from what I've heard and watched YouTube videos of Film Courage. Do you know that channel?
I don't think so.
Anyways, I saw some script writer on there, screenplay writer. and he was like talking about getting his scripts stolen by different executives, or and there's just all this inside drama in inside production of movies that
Shit's so sketchy.
he was like eventually I'm just gonna make my own movie, and I couldn't imagine it's that hard. It's just like you got to get the funding and the equipment and the time and the talent, and if you have friends and you trust your gut, then you can work with people that are cool and piece it together. I mean, that's kind of my goal, is like to make my own movie, but and probably it's not going to be that good. I have a goal right now to finish a script by the end of April, and by that I just mean have 110 pages, and then maybe edit it down, or write another 50 or 60 pages, and then like.
That's awesome. How far along are you?
I'm I'm like 11 pages in, so, and I haven't touched it for like almost 2 weeks.
Do you work better under pressure?
I think so, but I also work better maybe when I'm tired, but also when I'm inspired. Like, it's nice to have enthusiasm, like shared creative enthusiasm, and feedback, or being inspired by something you yourself watched, maybe.
Oh, totally. Because I remember, because like when I first started doing stand-up, I was very disciplined with my writing. I'd wake up every morning with my notebook and whatnot and write for a couple hours before I went to work, and then came home and did the same thing. But then after I kind of figured out how to write a joke, I just kind of wait to be inspired.
Yeah.
Walking around, and then it just came a lot clearer that way, but yeah, like, because I've always worked better under pressure too, like, because if I don't give myself a deadline to do anything, I'm just gonna procrastinate it.
Yeah, since I've been back in school doing sign language, I was actually back when I was taking my screenwriting class from Shoreline last spring, a year ago or so. And we'd have something due. We'd have to watch we'd have to read a script of a movie, then watch the movie, and then write like a 5-page paper on it, or 3 to 5 page paper. I don't know.
I think I took the same class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who was your teacher?
It was some guy.
Chris Boosted.
I would never remember the name, but yeah, we watched like The Matrix and I Heart Huckabees and stuff like that. It was like a philosophy film class.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this was well, I took 2 classes from him. It was, first I took video editing, and then I took screenwriting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he probably taught a philosophy class too, or something.
Yeah, it sounded familiar.
But anyways, I would just look ahead to what's due in the homework, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to start my homework a week early, So I like getting stuff done on time, but I did that recently. I had to read like 120 pages in a week or so. I mean, granted, I could have started earlier, but it was so hard for me, and I was like, are my eyes messed up? Because I'm so tired doing this, and like I would read like 15 pages and then take a nap and then wake up and read more, like whatever. Reading is hard, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'd reread pages, like if I didn't understand what I was reading, and then I'd have to go back when I was writing the paper and be like, oh, because I wasn't like highlighting or taking notes in the margins. But I don't know what I'm getting at.
At least you have that awareness to know that you're not absorbing everything you're reading and going back and doing it.
Yeah, I think speed reading and skimming is like a skill, though, like a good skill to like absorb a little bit. But the point I was making is I finished the assignment, and then my teacher like extended it like 2 weeks, and I'm like, well, at least I don't have to do anything for that,
Yeah, and plus, like, yeah, you have the initial pressure to fucking get it done, when you thought it was due. But how long have you had this thought of being in a movie or being in a thriller movie?
Well, I got into thriller and horror movies more recently, like in the last couple months. And there's a story behind that. But I think I've just always kind of slowly enjoyed being on camera or being on film. I was in a couple like filmings, actually, just in like short movies. Not, I guess there's other comedians in town that have been in more prominent like films that have been on Amazon and produced.
Yeah.
Like that vampire submarine Nazi movie.
Subferatu.
Yeah,
Give 'em a
with
plug.
Nate Pringle, Thomas Nichols,
Robert
and
Pitty.
Robert Pitty was in there, and
Claire
then
Weber.
Claire Weber.
Yeah. It's a good bunch of people.
Yeah, Thomas Nichols. I think he's in Texas.
Yep.
And Nate's
Wait.
in L.A.
He might be in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've seen him in Arizona. He could be in Texas now. But
He's also working on a comic book
Let's Be
series.
Cops.
Yeah, Let's Be Cops.
Yeah.
And he has like a fiance right now, or a sweetheart, a life companion that seems very dear to him.
Yeah, she's a very sweet gal. And yeah, he seems to have it all figured out at the moment. It's kind of cool to see somebody does.
Yeah, or at least he and her are figuring it out together, which is like the beautiful part of life.
Mm-hmm. It's inspiring. Like,
Yeah.
it can happen to people.
It's like a goal or something.
Mm-hmm.
Potential.
Because yeah, I don't know. Like I've always been interested in trying to transition into acting because I just love the art form of it.
Yeah.
You know, but I've always been uncomfortable with cameras and stuff like that. Like I never had the chance to get over like my camera jitters because I just haven't had enough exposure to it. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I think it depends who's around you and how you can interact with the camera crew or your other colleagues on set or whatever.
I could see that. That makes sense.
Like if, I don't know, if I was the director and you were in my film, you'd probably be more relaxed than if, I don't know, it was somebody who intimidated you, I guess. But
Quentin Tarantino.
yeah, Quentin Tarantino. I mean, personally, I feel like, I mean, I guess most things can be learned, like memorizing lines, but that seems like a hard task in general as far as acting.
Yeah.
And also being okay with yourself if you like don't get a scene or something, or like can't keep a straight face, or you know, something keeps going wrong and you do a lot of takes, and like you just I haven't talked to a lot of people who are in the business, so it's like I don't know what that's like, but I'm sure it happens all the time.
Yeah, because that anxiety would definitely throw me off for sure. Because I feel guilty when I'm doing nothing wrong. So when I know I'm like fucking up everybody's whole day because we have to keep redoing the shot, you know, like the whole staff and the actors and everybody, like I would just be crushing myself.
Yeah.
And that would just make things worse. But again, that's the appeal for stand-up because, you know, it's just me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I can disappoint myself all day. It's fine. I can walk away not feeling as guilty.
I was just thinking about our buddy Mike Mazzalotti and how a lot of his, I feel like a lot of his laughs, I mean, he has some okay jokes. Like, I like, maybe, I don't mean to slam him, but he doesn't really care.
No.
I like, I was going to say I like him as a person, but I don't know if I can say I'm in his studio right now. But, no, like, a lot of his funniness is his honesty and his truthfulness on stage, where he doesn't do well on stage, and then he has this immense shame that he expresses, like, I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
You guys don't think it is. I'm an idiot, or, you know, something along those lines. And that's when he gets when he's vulnerable on stage, and he really just tried as hard as he could, and then the audience is just like, they think it's funny once he admits that it's not funny.
Yeah, he's acknowledging the elephant in the room, you know. And yeah, his juice comes from his failure.
Yeah.
You know.
But he doesn't care about failure because he's just like,
yeah,
I'm going to keep doing it, and that's how he perseveres.
Absolutely. No, for sure. It takes a thick skin for that. You know, I've seen that a lot. Because yeah, I've gotten to the point where it's like when a joke doesn't land, I just kind of move on to the next joke.
Yeah, because more likely than not, the next joke is going to be funny.
Exactly.
And it's going to be more likely going to be funny because the last joke didn't work.
Exactly.
I mean, you can. I think I heard Pete Holmes talk about it on a podcast, but a while ago when he was basically you can keep doing like a baseball metaphor where you can keep getting like hit, you get on base with a hit and then eventually you hit a grand slam after your fifth joke or something. Like you can stack the audience's laughter. You know, you can keep making them lose it even more and more.
That makes a lot of sense.
But I had Nigel Larson, like after I went on tour with him or on a road trip, he drew out a little graph for me that was like, you're waiting too long after they give you applause. You need to start your next joke before they're done like clapping or laughing. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's very picture to see Nigel doing.
Yeah, we were at Hot Mama's Pizza together and working together or shift change, or I don't know.
Just breaking down the algorithm.
He like got some receipt paper and got a pen. Just like was like, here's your comedy lesson.
Sweet.
But yeah.
But yeah, because a lot of it just comes from just like trusting your instincts and trusting your material enough to like not sweat it when it doesn't land and just trust the next one will, or you'll get them back eventually.
Well, I like it like a lot. I like how I lend it to the you putting in the grind and you keep doing your sets and your reps, and I mean, you know a lot of your jokes by memory. Like you know a lot of, probably more than I know my own jokes or what it's hard to compare us to each other, but like as a comedian, you know your material after doing it like 40 plus times or 100 plus times, and you can go like last night I went to this open mic and I kind of rambled off at the beginning and like worked on some newer stuff and just like talked about my life so I was comfortable, and then I went into my like joke list of random thoughts that I had and tried to make it funny, and then I ran out of that, and then I started spitting out the stuff I had from memory. And since these people hadn't seen me ever before, they were like, oh, that's really funny.
It's always nice to know you have like that ammo box whenever you want it.
But then it's also like, I think it could be possibly be funnier if you are telling your jokes like, and you don't even really care. You're like, are you telling them it's such a casual conversation tone, like they're almost just words and they're not the structure.
Just
barely structure.
Just taking the performance out of it. Just letting the words speak for themselves more than trying to sell them.
And I think I'd have to watch like a 2-angle video or 3-angle video capture of that event to really analyze if what is in my memory, is true. But
because like once you kind of have like that material in your memory, like you're more free to take risks, like I really started taking risks like with like crowd work and stuff and just kind of seeing where things went, and sticking my neck out more and knowing like, okay, I can back out of this whenever I want with a fucking dumb dick joke or whatever.
Or you've ad-libbed onto or thought up a tagline in the moment and been like,
oh yeah,
or somebody in the audience laughs a specific laugh, or they say something and you hear it and then you're like, oh yeah
exactly. I really just I love crowd work so much, especially like in certain rooms too that are like fit for it, like at the Comedy Underground or something like that. Like that's why I like clubs so much, is because like those rooms are fit for like the crowd work to really take place. But because like before lockdown I was messing around doing like just silent sets, just like not saying a word and trying to make people laugh,
right? And
that was really fun. Like they would either go really good or really bad, but just the fact that it would even go good at all was just exciting.
Yeah.
You know, because like, yeah, it's just purely feeding off the audience, you know, and their reactions, because at that point you're dependent on it.
Yeah.
You know, they're throwing you a fucking lifeline, you better grab it. But yeah, but now I don't think I'm going to be doing that anytime soon until I get my bearings going. But
yeah, I think it'll be pretty easy.
I hope so, because yeah, when Barunji and I did that show in Bremerton, like we were both pretty nervous about it.
Yeah.
You know, because especially Barunji, because he had to close it out with like 20.
Yeah.
But you know, I think like the most difficult part was just beforehand beating myself up, getting in my own head.
Right. That's always the tough part. Even at any level, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, your first host spot, your first show, your 20th show, your first show that you're performing at a, you know, whatever. There's so many variables, but
yeah. But it's kind of nice knowing that kind of like everyone is like on a same playing field now.
Yeah.
Because we've all been kind of on this reset. So it'll be interesting to see even like good comics be bad comics for a while, you know, because we're all rusty, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we haven't been able to exercise that muscle, you know.
Yeah, it'd be funny just to see how different comedians bounce back from all of this and what that process looks like, you know. But
yeah, it's I think there are definitely some people who started, and I haven't done a lot of video like Zoom comedy, but some people started in the pandemic.
Oh wow, I never thought of that.
And then they're gonna go back. They're gonna do in real life comedy for the first time, and how they feel about that, and I don't know what they bring. You know, I don't know.
I can't wait to see that. That's a very good point. I mean, just to like see that shell shock of, you know, having a live audience compared to the Zoom. Because the Zoom shows, I did a handful, and I had one of them was fun because like you could actually hear like the audience laugh through the computer, so you can gauge whether it was working or not.
Yeah.
But when it wasn't like that, it just felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, just telling jokes in my kitchen to nothing but silence, with no gauge of how it's going, and it was just like, this is just ruining the thing that I love so much.
There was a show, I don't remember what it was called, but I think it was a Comedy Central show that Ian Abramson hosted. I think it was called 5 Minutes in Purgatory, and it was a comedian who performed in an empty theater, and then the audience was on the rooftop watching a projected screen of the comedian in the empty theater.
Oh my god!
And so you didn't know who was laughing when, and you had to do sets or a set, you know.
That's a crazy idea.
So they go up to the rooftop and they said, "Hello, I'm blah blah blah," and then they go down and have a film crew following them, and then it's supposed to. I mean.
So you're just kind of watching a comedian hold back a panic attack, basically.
Yeah. And then there's like a little green room of the other comedians on the show watching them as well in like a little room. They're like, ugh, or whatever.
That's a great idea. I gotta look into that. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I think they did 2 seasons or something, and it was a good pitch for. Have you heard of Ian Abramson? He's a guy who moved from Chicago to L.A. I think his mom lives in Washington. He actually, during the quarantine, he did like a spoof of Saturday Night Live, and did some bizarre skits and made things out of cardboard and stuff. But one of his, I paid for something on YouTube of, it was like dynamic comedy or something. Anyways, he had a performance, a really funny a show, like a bit, a performance, a set. He had a set about time traveling, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and marry, fuck, kill. And he's like, I'd marry the lion, I'd fuck, I'd kill, or, you know, I'd fuck, marry, I don't know. And then he would mix it up, and you'd have to see it kind of, but it was super inspirational as far as like it was a set that I admired. That's like always gonna be like in the back of my head somewhere.
You know what's funny? Like I don't mean to like blow smoke up your ass, but there's a set that you've had that I really admire. I think you might know which one it is. But besides the cum crab one we already talked about.
Oh, you saw the one where I danced to the Whisper song?
I saw that one, and that's what, because like before that, because I had always been interested in wanting to do stand up without saying a word, and then I saw you do it, and you did it. I'm like, motherfucker, you like broke the code. But I was also thinking about when you were at the local 907, and I don't think it was going well. And then you just went on this tangent of like, so what's the deal with Seinfeld premises?
Yeah.
And then like you were just going on that, and then before your set was over, you're like, give it up for Amani Taylor.
Yeah.
Ah!
Oh yeah, I do my impressions of Amani Taylor.
It was so funny.
And I feel like I feel like I rib people or like make fun of people that are my friends as my way of showing affection, kind of.
Oh, totally.
But I don't know how else to really be genuine and nice. So it's like, and then Amani would always whisper, "Have fun up there" or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. You brought that up.
And then eventually, I'd make fun of him, and then I'd apologize after the show, and he'd be like, "No, it's cool, man. It's totally fine."
Oh, no, of course, he's such a nice guy, and I'm sure he took it as a compliment because it was undeniably funny. Like I think about that a lot, and Mazzalotti actually recorded it. And I remember I was having a really hard day at work, and I was like, "Can you like email that to me, man? I just want to watch it."
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Well, so Amani used to whisper like, "Have fun up there,
have
man."
Fun, man.
Which was a really good like an icebreaker for my mind, kind of like to be relaxed. Before performing, and usually you're pretty tense, or even if you don't think you are, you're like, oh, now I'm a little more at ease.
Yeah.
But after making fun of him, he'd whisper in my ear like the next week he'd be like, go fuck yourself.
That's so great. I'm so glad I brought that up just to have have that knowledge.
Yeah, he's like, don't enjoy yourself. No, I don't know what he'd say.
Yeah, because I don't know. I've always appreciated about that too. Because it kind of grounds you a bit. Like this is supposed to be fun.
I definitely. So we went on tour twice, and I made fun of your laugh like the first one. I mean, maybe I'd make fun of your laugh a lot, but
you do. But I remember it was really hard in the first tour.
I completely mimicked it, and then I think I basically got over it, and I don't have the capacity to make fun of your laugh or anything about you anymore. Maybe I don't spend enough time with you, so
I think it was just because we're spending so much time together at a time.
Yeah, Ian would at one point was like, he's like, dude, Levi's our friend. Why are you? It's still easy to make fun of Ian.
That was really good.
It's like, the cannabinoid receptors in our head, and when we go on a run, they get released, and excess THC gets released in those receptors. And then, let me show you how to make a tuna salad really quick.
That's so spot on.
But I'm going to move to Germany because they have healthcare, and I'm going to start a family. Good to see you, though.
Yeah. So
really good to see you.
Yeah.
But the second time we went on tour, it was Joe Kelly who started making, like, he got your laugh a little bit, way better than I could do it.
Yeah, he definitely had it down as far as.
But it's like that was old hat to me.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, like yours was like a lot. It was like a parody of my laugh. It was just much more over the top,
right.
More than mine already is.
Yeah, I'd get into that just seeing a Jaitai. I'd start doing a shrill, like one note crescendo of, and you'd just be like in this. You're like, you're like in your head. You're like, please don't do that. You don't know what kind of headspace I'm in right now. I'm having a bad 2 months. Okay.
You remember that? So I was wondering if you remember that night because I remember that night too.
Oh, I don't know the specific night.
Oh no, but I remember.
I just your facial expression was like,
Yeah,
Robbie is always on one or usually on one.
you're just very consistent and on brand, which is what I love about you. But like, there's definitely been periods of time where I've just felt very vulnerable and empty. So
yeah, Monkey Pub. No.
Monkey Pub, yes. Europub.
Europub. That was fun. They had they had like the monk cut out in the back room, the European monk that would be like my sets there would be like me shifting behind something and being like, I don't know, is this comedy? I don't know.
I loved it when he did that.
Apparently I made fun of Sean Riccio at one of them that was really funny, but I don't remember what I did. But
I remember so like Ian Ashley, he was there one day, and before like the open mic started, he's like, hey man, you should really watch my set. I'm like, why? What's up? He's like, no, you should just stick around and watch my set, okay?
Oh yeah, I forgot what he did. He asked me that too.
Yeah, so what happened was, he does his set, and apparently like earlier that day he found his roommate dead.
Oh yeah,
and
he's like, yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah. So I found it. Well, yeah, what? How does
he was hiding it. He's like, you should really watch my set. Like he didn't want to like spoil it, you know. So like he's like, yeah, he was like, no one had seen him in days, and I just smelled the smell, and I opened the door, and he was bloated and got in like real.
I think
gritty.
I saw that set.
Yeah, and he got into like really gritty detail, and he was just like, yeah, man. So it's like that's what I did today, and he just kind of like finished his set. So then I went up after him, and I was like, hey, everybody give it up for Ian. If anybody's looking for a roommate, you know.
Yeah, I helped Sterling move into that place.
Oh, really? But yeah,
I saw the stain in the floor.
Did you really?
Well, you can see a little bit of the discoloration, I think.
Was it in that comedy house?
Yeah.
Really?
It was downstairs. It's in a really short room. It's like you can't stand up in the room.
Oh, I didn't know that was the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. That's pretty heavy. But yeah, I remember that very clearly. And then after that, he started like buying like fur coats and stuff and kind of living it up.
Yeah, I think that was always just his aesthetic.
That's true. Maybe that's just when I started paying attention more.
I remember one time he would bring, I don't know if he did it more than once, but he brought like a 4-foot bong outside a Jai Thai, or a 3-footer, but it was like some huge glass bong, handmade.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he just carried around his backpack.
And I'm like, man, you're really living it up as a persona off stage. I mean, he is from Olympia. I don't know if that says anything.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he's a good guy. I really liked hanging out at that house. You know, like with him and Sterling, and Stevie was there. Stevie Ray.
Oh, okay. So it was that era.
Yeah. And then I forget who else. It's hard to keep track.
There's a Russian woman that has been always living there, who's a tattoo artist.
And then Allie was there. She was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then her dog.
Yeah. I always thought she was cute, but
yeah.
I could never ask her out though.
Yeah, disregard this because you're never gonna watch it, Allie.
Yeah, Allie, if you're watching this.
I don't have feelings for you anymore.
Yeah, this is for show. This is none of this is real. But yeah, it was funny because Dylan was wanting me to move into that comedy house fairly recently, actually, like during in the middle of the pandemic, because like I've been alone for the most part.
Oh, right. I don't know about your situation currently.
Yeah, so currently I'm back to sort of bouncing around, you know, kind of couch surfing, so to speak. But for the majority of my time, I've been staying at my Nana's house in Granite Falls, like an hour northeast.
Oh, okay.
But she's in Arizona, so I've just had the place to myself.
Oh, cool.
For over a year. And,
wow.
Yeah, so it was a nice piece of property. It's out in the woods, sort of. There's a river in the backyard, and it was
You
peaceful.
just pull in her mail.
Yeah, you know, just get the mail, flush the toilets and whatnot, you know. But But yeah, so like I was kind of
He
losing.
just flushed the toilets randomly.
Yeah, just to make sure the plumbing works. But
The pipes aren't insulated, so you gotta
exactly
keep everything dripping.
But yeah, so but after a while of being out of work and not doing anything, just kind of I felt some severe cabin fever. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking die in this house, man. Like,
yeah, you gotta start writing that down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wrote it all over the walls and stuff.
You're like, oh, this is a great bit. I'm gonna die in the Granite Falls house. How am I gonna perform this? Oh, I must have to, shit, I'm gonna have to do Zoom comedy to talk about this.
I gotta get that hologram technology to fucking.
You just set up your phone camera and you're like, do a set, it's like a suicide set where I don't know how you would die in the house.
I've always thought it'd be really cool to die on stage. Like that's like a weird fantasy I have.
Yeah, I could see that.
Even someone just shooting me on stage, because there are like some people in the scene who I wouldn't be surprised if they try to like shoot somebody on stage. There's some kind of.
I mean, things have happened.
Yeah, things have happened.
There's a baseball bat happened.
Mm-hmm. And there's some pretty.
But that was severe mental illness too.
And that's what I'm saying about these people. But
I heard about not to totally go on a tangent, but Eric Andre, he has the philosophy he wants to make the worst show he possibly can, and then when he performs live, he also follows that philosophy. But what I'm getting at is I heard somebody watched a live show. I think it might have been in LA or something, but he had Hannibal Buress come down on a harness, but his head was in a noose, and he just hung there for 20 minutes. But I think that could work really well into like your kind of set. Although you wander and you do stuff on stage,
yeah.
But if you were like in like those like the locked up things, like where you're humiliated in the town or something,
that's really funny. I would definitely do something like that. It's easy to picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Eric Andre did a show at the Showbox like years ago.
Yeah, was it the one Claire Pluton got ranch poured on them?
Yeah. I remember that very vividly.
I was like, yeah, I know somebody that got like something poured on them, and they're like, oh, it's ranch because he has a ranch thing. Like it's part of the culture of his show.
Yeah, she fucking like chugged it and like put it all over her and like spat it in the crowd. Like, it was gnarly.
Wow.
It was a gnarly scene. But
I didn't hear about the spitting.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's funny.
But yeah, she definitely had her moment of glory. Like,
yeah, I know. No, I'm spacing out.
But while you're spacing out, I remember when the show started, because I was working it, and Eric started the show by running around the venue.
You were doing the security.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he was just running around, and like he grabbed garbage cans and just like throw them all over the place and like empty out garbage everywhere,
funny.
and just like throw it all over the place. So like it just pissed most of the staff off, like, what the fuck you doing, dude?
Right. That's how he runs things.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a fan of his, so like I was all about it, like I didn't.
Yeah,
have to clean it up.
it's performance art, kind of.
But I guess I wasn't at this show, but he did one at the Crocodile, and he took a garbage can and like threw it into the crowd, but he didn't know that it was like full of broken glass.
Oh no.
Yeah,
that's what goes in garbage cans.
Yeah, right. So luckily nobody got hurt, but like the possibility was definitely there.
Huh. Yeah, I was thinking like, what's in that garbage can? It's diapers,
Yeah.
No, I was exchanging stories about Eric Andre last night with some people online. And I thought of it after the whole ranch conversation. I was like, it's kind of like a Guar show or Rocky Horror Picture Show where if you're on stage, you're definitely going to get your like really dirty or something. But if you're in the audience, you have the risk of getting like,
That's a great correlation. I never really put those two together.
Yeah, he's like a comedy Guar.
I'm glad you did that because that makes a lot of sense. But anyways, I was living alone at the house, and my mental health was just deteriorating like everybody else's was, I'm sure. And
Were you playing video games?
I was playing a lot of games.
Yeah.
I was watching just dumb shit. I was looking up like old radio bits on YouTube and looking up like Norm Macdonald bits and stuff like that.
Radio bits?
Yeah, I started listening to the show Opie and Anthony.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started doing a deep dive of that stuff.
Were you contacted with anybody on like the phone or like email or Instagram or?
I was in contact with like a handful of people like every day,
but it wasn't like too deep that would keep like I don't know, ground your mental state.
Well, they were definitely doing their part to.
But
keep
it's
me grounded.
something about like nobody in person like
No.
really like brought you down.
Exactly, and just like because I realized too, it's like all my self-value comes from what I do, like what I do for work or what I do for comedy. So like when I'm doing nothing, I feel like I am nothing.
Right.
So like I fell deep into that, but like Dylan was like one of the people I talked to.
Okay.
Yeah, Dylan Cole. So
he's very understanding.
yeah, he's very understanding. He's very emotionally smart.
I did his favorite bit last night. I closed out my show with the raving Irish, where instead of the fighting Irish, I just start doing like
That's amazing.
I jump on things and like do like totally.
Yeah, I've seen you do that. God,
But Dylan and I worked together at the pizza place, and and in the middle of me being in the lobby, he'd be like, "Do it, come on! It's 10 a.m. Do the raving Irish."
I had a lot of comfort knowing you guys were working there together.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I always like stopping by to say hi. And
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, we would always. I mean, it was a little phase. All right. I mean, like I definitely remember 4 or 5 months of seeing you kind of regularly.
Yeah, because that's when I lived close by at the time. But
Oh yeah. You lived. Your buddy that has that dog that he'd carry on his shoulders.
yeah, Evan.
Evan. I feel like Evan friended me on Instagram, and then
Yeah,
or whatever.
I haven't seen him in a while. But,
Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was somebody you worked with. But I remember Evan though,
Mm-hmm.
and Evan knew my other coworker who wasn't a comedian.
I can see that. He told me about that. But yeah, so I talked to Dylan a lot, and he was like, "Hey man, there's a room opening up at the comics house.
Right. Okay.
Just go move in with the comics." And I'm like, to me that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah. If
'Cause-
you have this other house,
Yeah, and and plus like it was rent free, like I wasn't paying anything, so like, and not only that, but it was also the matter of like, I have nothing against anybody who lives there, but it's just a matter of like having those many comedians together in that kind of space all the time. I felt like would have exhausted me,
yeah.
just because like comedians, especially when they're around each other, they don't know how to turn it off. Like conversation just turns into competition.
I think living with like 4 or 5 people in general would suck a lot of your energy out.
Exactly, and let alone them being comedians. So, like, cause like when Mazzalotti and I lived together, that was a pretty good deal. It was a good setup.
Yeah, you got the room.
I don't know why I got the room, because I insisted that he get the room, but
Yeah.
he was like, no man, you get it, because like he needed the room a lot more than I did.
That's when he started this podcast studio. It's like
Yeah,
on a table in the living room that had a sheet,
yeah, and it
yeah.
worked. It made it. We made it work, until we moved more people in, and it kind of got a little hairy. I mean, nothing against them. but-
Harry moved in, right?
Yeah.
There's a dog named Harry. that
Yeah,
lived there.
he was a good boy.
Oh, I love Harry.
Yeah, it's an old snaggletooth. But I have nothing against them, by the way. I think they're great people. It's just a lot of.
Oh yeah, once you get 4 people in a 1 bedroom,
It's gonna be hairy,
yeah.
for lack of a better word. But yeah, but it's
Oh
like,
yeah, he developed a good bit about whatever. It's not that funny, but the one about finding you in the shower dead or something.
yeah, when we roasted each other, that was a good bit.
Yeah.
That was a good roast. Because I typically don't like roasts. But,
I think over the quarantine I watched that, and just to like fill some kind of void.
I need to revisit it, because that's like the most fun I had roasting somebody, just because we knew each other very well. But I roasted Ian O'Mara too, and a lot of people helped me write jokes for that. Eric Lundquist wrote a joke. He wrote a joke saying, "Is like I wish the suicide rate amongst the military started with Ian." I'm like,
yeah,
I thought that was brutal, but I don't know. Did you ever like doing roasts?
I never did a roast until the COVID stuff, and I did some. I was part of this LA-based Instagram feed roast, and one night when I signed up, when I agreed, I think I did at least 2 of them, but I would source all my favorite comedians in Seattle and be like, okay, can you help me write some jokes? It's for like a white woman in her early 20s. And like, I'm like, that's all I can give you. Like, I did 3 roasts, but it just ended up being more work than I wanted to do. But it was like kind of that generic joke writing process.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really interesting one. This guy named Andrew Weir, who's from Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I roasted him, and I had no idea. He has no social media presence, barely, and so I YouTubed him, and I found this high school basketball player that was getting interviewed named Andrew Weir, and I roasted that kid. and the judges gave me like creativity bonus.
That's amazing.
But
I love that. Because like I don't know, like roasting it flexes a different muscle for writing. I feel like that's for just because you have like a specific target, you know, and you're trying to find different angles to attack the target.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'll do them, but I don't feel comfortable with it most of the time.
Yeah, it's not. I guess I don't have enough experience, especially off of like Instagram or whatever I was doing it on.
Because I'll agree to them just because I'm so easy to roast. That would be like a softball for whoever's roasting me, and I love being roasted. So
I like the idea of how when you're on a roast show, you have to roast everybody who's performing. I think that's a fun, but it's also, I think it's very time consuming. Did you ever meet the LA comic April Walterscheid?
Yeah.
She was on a roast show with me, and it was like a tiered roast show where there's like 4 people, and then it would go to 2, but there was no break between the next show, so you had to write jokes for every potential person you were gonna roast if they won the different ranks.
Yeah, I did one like that too.
And April probably spent like 4 or 5 hours preparing and writing jokes for everybody, and I think she won. But
I would hope so after that effort.
Yeah, she was a champ.
Yeah, she's a very, very nice lady. But yeah, because I remember doing that tiered kind of show, and I didn't work nearly as hard for it.
Yeah.
And it's just like the idea of just trying to write roast jokes on the spot for somebody you just met and you have nothing to go off of. It's just like, where's the fun in that for anybody?
Yeah, you know? It's not that great unless you're good at shit talking and you have good energy to base it off of, and a lot of confidence.
That's true. Like maybe those are just some things that I'm missing, but it's like you're just setting, like, it's not even fun for the audience if the comedian can't come up with anything, you know, under the circumstances.
I basically threw my second round because I won the first round, and then I was like, I had nothing on this guy. And then I was just like, I should have just threw in the towel earlier.
Yeah, because I remember I roasted Craig Stewart during that kind of tiered show. And it became like a joke off or whatever, and he ended up beating me, and I was relieved because he had to move on to the next round to roast somebody he just met like a half hour ago.
Right.
So I'm like, I'd rather just sit back and enjoy you guys duke it out. You know, I got my jokes out there. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I remember Natalie Holt is like one of the best roast joke writers. I think she's fucking brutal.
I think she roasted with Jason McBride once, and it's funny because you have a discourse with the person you're gonna roast, and so they would like, you know, you DM each other being like, all right, like, can I get some information? I don't know. But how far can I go, or you know?
Exactly. Just like knowing where the boundaries are, you know. But I remember because like there was like a roast held for me before I went down to LA with
Right.
Maserati.
Yeah. I was there.
Yeah, you were there?
Yeah,
I
at that
forget.
country bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got really high with Dylan outside, as per usual, and then, yeah, I was definitely there to watch Dylan roast you.
I remember Dylan's very, very clearly because it was just like him completely yelling and berating me.
I remember like
basically.
the angle of watching everything, but I remember nothing of the content.
It's funny because like one of my friends came out to see me. Who's was a very attractive girl. You know, she was dressed to the nines. She just wanted to support the show, and he just like he looks at her and then looks at me with like this really disgusted face. It's like, virgin. This is why you're a virgin. Look at her. She's here. And like just went off on this huge rant, but just very angrily yelling at me. And I thought of, but before he did that, he asked for permission on stage. He's like, can I like really go off on you?
Oh, okay.
I'm like, yeah, please do. And
Yeah.
just like completely went ballistic.
Yeah, that's like the silver lining, or that's the behind the scenes that the audience doesn't know. Like, oh, it's going to be a better show because there's like this contract behind.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. It's happening in front of them. You know?
Yeah.
Like, can I really just like try to hurt your feelings? And you definitely went for it. But Natalie Holt told a joke that I think about a lot. She's like, I never seen a bald guy with so much hair before. And it was just so well written. And it hit my core. I'm like, God damn.
What's your Tom Petty joke about yourself?
I look like Tom Petty going through a divorce.
Uh.
Yeah, that one. I stopped telling that. It didn't land as well as I'd hoped it would.
Yeah, there's always those jokes that you're like, I wish people thought this was funny.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But I guess I can't do it anymore after like 10 times of no laughs.
Mm-hmm. But then Claire Weber and I roasted each other, and none of us had written anything beforehand. We got to the show,
Uh-huh.
and we were like, "Did you write anything?" I'm like, "No, I have no idea. I'm doing it
Yeah.
right now." She's like, "Yeah, me too." Because she's like, "I know you. We'll figure it out."
Yeah,
And
it worked. It was good.
it was. She lit my ass on fire,
Yeah.
bro. It was amazing. Like, she said, she said, I never had sex with Levi before, but I have like taken a Brillo pad and rubbed it against my vagina. It didn't come, so it's close enough. Something like that. I butchered it.
Yeah,
but,
that's good.
You know, but yeah, I definitely like doing roasts. I just don't like writing for them as much.
Yeah. Well, I think we should, unless you want to shoot for 2 hours, we can wrap things up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. I'm sorry if we went too long.
No, I usually do like an hour and 20 or so.
Oh, what are we at now?
We're at 127.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that flew by.
Yeah, the first 40 minutes flew by pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I mean, the whole thing was pretty, was a flyby.
Well, shit. Is there like a certain way you end the shows?
I just, not really. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Do you want to plug anything? I have your Instagram and Twitter handle up there. So
Oh, thanks. Yeah, just that. I don't have a Facebook at the moment.
you have a website though.
I do have a website. Thank you for reminding me. I have one. It's levimanis.com. You can look up my stuff.
And you can check out your YouTube too.
Yeah, I got some stuff on YouTube.
Is that
it's
just search for Levi Manis?
Yeah, I got Levi Manis is on YouTube, and I don't have a lot of videos up, but I do have my set from Bremerton this past week. You can check out. So it's
Nice. You just put that on your website or no, on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, so you can look that up and just see like my latest stuff I was working on.
And people can like Venmo you and PayPal you.
Yeah, you can PayPal me if you want. You
Cash
know,
App?
Cash App, yeah. Cash App is at Levi Manis, or my username is Ace Ventura. So I don't know how Cash App works. I don't know.
Chua?
Yeah, Ace Ventura.
I don't know how to spell that even.
Capital ACE, capital VENCHUA.
CHUA.
It's a mixture of Pikachu and Ace Ventura.
Oh, okay.
Because I love
The
mashups.
Pokemons?
I do.
The mashups. Yeah. Monday mashups. That was a throwback, like Dylan Cole and Joe Greenhour were
Those were a lot of fun.
a lot of, they're like, hey, think about this for next week. Because,
Mm-hmm.
you have merch?
I don't have merch at the moment. I had some magnets I was selling that
Yeah.
I might get back on board again. So just keep a lookout on my Instagram if I'm selling those again. But I am doing a show on May 7th at Lo-Fi in Seattle. I'm gonna be. It's like a show where you have to be high on acid while you do it.
Oh,
So
Lo-Fi is on East Lake, kind of below Capitol Hill.
yeah, I don't think I've been there before. But,
It's great. It's right next to the Victory Lounge, and I used to go to like dancing nights there, or the people would DJ or play shows or whatever.
oh, nice.
I don't know how many comedy shows have happened there, but that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, May 7th. That should be fun.
What day of the week is that?
I believe it's Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Do you know what time? Like 9 p.m. or?
I don't know. I know tickets are on sale right now. I just don't have.
So go to lofi.com
Yeah, go to
or
Lo-Fi.
whatever the website is.
Look it up. You know, like if you want to be there, you can figure it out. But that should be fun.
It's kind of dark in there, but are you gonna try to film it or?
I'll probably film it just because I'll be high on acid for it, so I might as well make the most of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
the guy who's putting on the show, he does that show in Vegas, and that's where I did it the first time.
Oh.
And it was funny because like when I got there, we didn't really discuss how much time I was doing.
Yeah.
So right before the show started, I already took like my stuff, and he was like, "So how much time can you do?" I'm like, "Ultimately," he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I could do like 45 minutes."
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, cool. You're gonna do 45. You're gonna headline it."
Wow.
I'm like, I didn't expect that. But
How did that go?
it went really well, actually. It was a lot
That's
of
kind
fun.
of fun. I like Vegas. It's like a dry, smoker friendly.
Yeah, exactly. And
I don't smoke, but it's just like it seems rebellious.
Yeah, that's the vibe of it all, you know.
Mad Max.
But yeah, that was fun. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. But yeah, that's all I got going on because
Yeah.
shit's just happening again. So, but I appreciate having me on. This is fun.
Yeah. I think this was best one yet. No, I'm not to diss everybody in the past, but it's nice to have like a connection, like a history, and then we're like, I'm not like looking up at the TV screen or too worried about anything.
Right.
So
Yeah. I definitely had a good time. So this seemed pretty seamless.
I'm gonna I'll switch it back to the main screen and I'll play the outro music, which you don't have to listen to, but
I'll listen to it because I'm a fan of your music.
all right.